So tonight I wanted to talk with you guys about getting your new coach started right. And throughout our Wow Your Business training group, you have been enrolling new coaches. You've been learning how to invite and how to share the opportunity. Let's just get right to how do we get your new coaches started right. And I've developed a checklist. And I've also included links to each of the documents in the checklist. And the reason I'd like to include the links is because then I can share this document with my team and they have access to our team resources. So I'm just going to show you how I do this, and you will obviously want to customize it with your own documents, your own team names and things like that. But first of all, you know that you send your coach a welcome email. Hopefully you know that. And the welcome email, I'll just click through it. If I can, right here. So I have a link right here in the slide so that I can show if my new coaches are using this checklist as their own checklist, then they can click into this email and they can see what they need to do. They can actually save it to their desktop and insert their own personal information. In my welcome email, I include a link to a welcome video that I created, but I created it for my whole team. So if you're comfortable enough to do that, you can create your own welcome video. And I would suggest that you create it in such a manner that your teams can use it as well. The whole point of getting your new coaches started right and having a good checklist and a good system is so that you can create a system for duplication. Because as you know, when we're actively signing up new coaches, one of the first things we're telling them to do is to also enroll new coaches to get to Emerald, right? And so they're enrolling new coaches almost the same time they are still in the new coach process. So it's very important that we have a system so that they can duplicate very easily how to get their new coaches right. It's a process of passing it down the line. So in the welcome email, it's pretty standard, the information that we include. I like to make sure that I include their 3 success markers: getting their initial investment back, achieving Emerald rank, and earning Success Club. I talk about some of the things that I will teach them how to do, and then I get down to their action items. And so I ask them to send me an About Me form, which again, there's a link right in here, and we can click into that once I go back to the document. But basically, the About Me form is just something that they can tell me who they are, what their goals are, a little about their life. Some of these things I may already know through my coach interview process. But sometimes we may sign up coaches rather quickly, and maybe we don't have as much of a background history on them as we would like. And so this just allows us to get to know them better. I instruct them to be added to our team Facebook page, which is something I actually do for them already. I instruct them to go through their quick start guide in their Team Beachbody Coach Online and get ready for a new coach getting started right call. Now in my email, I include the information on how to set that call up with me. I like to leave that in the hands of the new coach. And the reason is this: when I first started, I would set the call up myself. I would contact them and say, when is a good time for you? And then we go back and forth on schedules. And now I just leave it in their hands so that they have my calendar and they can set that appointment. They know when I'm available, and it shows initiative, in my opinion, on their part. Personally, if I have to chase a coach down, whether it be a new coach or a more experienced coach, for any kind of a one-on-one call with me, then I'm not sure it's a great use of my time, because I want to work with, and you should also want to work with, people that are ready and willing. So this shows a sign of initiative to me when I tell them how to set the call up with me and they actually go and do it. Now that doesn't mean that if they don't do it right away that I will not follow back up with them, because I will. New coaches, a lot of times they're uncertain and maybe they don't have a lot of confidence. So definitely I give them the benefit of the doubt. I direct them into their Coach Training Academy so that they can start going through the information in there. There are a ton of tools in our Coach Online office. And in fact, when I was at Leadership this past week, there are some of our top fast rising coaches that are completely utilizing the Coach Online Office for their training. They're not creating their own coach kickstarts and coach training tools. They basically direct their new coaches into the Coach Online Office and say, go through this training, and when you're ready to move to Emerald, let's talk. So that really points back to the fact that if a coach is going to do this, if they have that fire in their belly, I really believe they're going to do it. I think that we can expedite their learning curve by providing them with the support and the additional resources. But there is plenty of information that Beachbody Corporate has put together to help our coaches be successful. Another thing I like to do in the welcome email is make sure they have the links to their websites. So I will plug in where it says your screen name, I will plug in their actual coach screen name so that they have the links to their Beachbody Coach, their Shapeology, and their Ultimate Reset websites. I put some of the basic contact information. And again, this is repetitive. I mean, this is also included in the Coach Online Office, in the Getting Started section of the new coach information. I mean, this is all repetitive information. But again, I'm trying to hand my new coach the information that I think they need first to help them be most successful. So that, again, just like we do with a new challenger, when we're signing up someone with a challenge pack, we'd like to send them a direct link to their website, to your website, so that they can enroll and they don't have to go in and hunt and click around. So that's what I like to do with my new coaches, is just give them the things that they need. So that's our new coach welcome email. You really, really need to do this. You can certainly use the formats that your upline sponsor has put together, or take that information and put it into your own document. But don't forego this piece, because your coaches, the first thing they want to know is, what do I do next? So make sure you give them that information. So let's go back to the document, to the PowerPoint. So send them the welcome email. Add them to your team page and welcome them. And welcome them means congratulations, and join me in welcoming new coach Susie. She's a mom of 3 from California. She loves to work out, has already lost 10 pounds with the 21-day fix. And she and her husband and her 4 kids live in California, and they're super excited to get started on this journey. Make them feel welcome. I like to include, again, for my coaches, a sample of what a new coach welcome picture looks like. But here's the thing. Think about duplication. A lot of new coaches, they don't know how to do the fancy graphics and things that we know how to do, that we've learned how to do. We didn't come into this knowing that. So I have a template. They can just plug in a picture or whatever. But if they can't figure this out right off the bat, or if maybe you haven't figured it out yet, maybe you're still a brand new coach and you haven't figured out the graphics, just welcome your new coach. Go to their Facebook page. I always go to their Facebook page and I grab a photo off of their Facebook page and I just add it in. You don't have to put it in a fancy document. So again, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good when it comes to welcoming your new coaches. I also like to welcome them on my public Facebook page and tag them, because that actually serves as a introduction to their friends that they are now a coach, because when I tag them, it shows up on their Facebook timeline. And so a lot of times they will start getting interaction from their Facebook friends saying, oh, wow, that's really cool. Congratulations. Or, yeah, I want to join your first challenge group. A lot of times in that first public welcome, I will include something to the effect of, Susie's joining my Holiday Fitness Trifecta Challenge, and she's super excited to get started with her 21-day fix. So, if you want to join us, it's not too late to get started, something like that. So it's kind of an invitation to their friends to join in. The next thing you're going to want to do is set up the GSR call. That's your Getting Started Right call. And again, here's just a little note. The first time you do this, if you've never done a Getting Started Right call, you should do it with your sponsor coach. And just write this down right now. Here's your philosophy when it comes to any kind of duplication training on your team. Number 1 is you do it. Number 2 is we do it. And number 3 is they do it. What that means is the first time you're going to do it and they're going to observe. So on a GSR call, you will literally, as the sponsor coach, do a 3-way call with their new coach, and you will do the GSR call. And that your coach or personally sponsored coach will take notes, and they will observe, and they will see how you interact with this new coach. The second time that coach signs up a coach, you both do it together. Again, 3-way call. It's a different new coach, but now you guys are going to tag team it. So maybe in advance, you agree upon how you're going to do that. And then the third time, the third new coach that your coach signs up, they do it and you observe. So still do that 3-way call, only you get on there and you're just a little quiet church mouse, just like they were on the first call. If you do that with your coach 3 times, they are going to get this. Now that also means you have to get it, right? So you need to ask yourself, how comfortable are you doing GSR calls? Have you been doing them? Sometimes the GSR call is the very first time I've ever spoken with my new coach. So it's really important way to set up a relationship. Again, in this document, I have a link to a sample outline for how to do a GSR call. There's also one in the Coach Online Office that's different from this. But basically, in my opinion, the purpose of your Getting Started Right call is to we go over the About Me form. I make sure that I ask them questions. I get them to talk about themselves so that I really understand. I want to understand what their why is. Why do they want to do this? Why is it important they are successful with this business? What are their goals? This is the time when, if you haven't already, you're going to want to know if they want to be a hobby coach or an all-in coach. Get them to talk about specifics. If paying for their weekly groceries is something that would be really amazing for them to take a load off, then have that be one of their milestone goals and help them understand how that can happen. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up your weekly call for 4 weeks. I believe that a new coach, again, if they've taken the time to reach out to you and set up the Getting Started Right call, then hopefully that shows initiative on their part. The next thing to do is to set up that call for the next 4 weeks. And again, I leave this in their court. And the other thing that I do is I have the new coach call me. And this is why. When I first was a coach for the first couple years, probably even maybe 3 years, I would get their phone number, and whether this was with coach mentoring calls or new coach Getting Started Right calls, I would get their phone number and I would call them. And more times than I cannot even tell you, they would not answer. They would have forgotten about the call. They would be busy or for whatever reason. And it got to be a really major downer for me and a waste of my time. So I have any coach that I talk with one-on-one, I have them call me. The good thing about this is that now if they've forgotten this call, then after 5 minutes, I'm on to do something else. But it also is when I have calls scheduled back to back, it helps me stay on schedule. Because otherwise, when I do talk to somebody on the phone, it can tend to go long. We just kind of go off on really long conversations. So generally, a Getting Started Right call is going to last 30 to 45 minutes. I usually schedule 30 minutes in my schedule for that. But I will ask them, go ahead right now and go back into my scheduler and set up the next 4 calls. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send them some information. So at the end of your Getting Started Right call, you're going to tell them, here's what you can expect next. New coach posts. So when your new when your new coach gets their package, their challenge pack kit, you want them then, right then and there, to start sharing it on their Facebook page, on their social media. So this document here gives just a little outline on the kinds of posts they can do their first week as a coach, walking them through when you get your package, post a picture of it and share how excited you are that you're ready to get going. So it gives them days 1 through 8 of posts, and then it basically says rinse and repeat. So this is really helpful for your new coach because, again, think about yourself when you first started. You may have used social media for, just personal things and sharing family pictures and things like that. But when it comes to how do I share so that it's, it's speaking to the message that I want my followers to have from me, it sometimes can get a little overwhelming. So giving them specifics, here's what you post, is going to help them be more successful right out of the gate. A new coach checklist. So this is something also that I have developed, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Also, I send them a link to my I'm a New Coach Now What video series. Now, not everybody's going to have an I'm a New Coach Now What video series, right? This is something that I created over time, and my whole team can use this video series. So maybe it's something that your upline has. I mean, and I know a lot of coaches have something like this. Maybe it's something you want to put on your to-do list for something to do. I did not sit down and create all of these all in one day. I made an outline of the things that I really thought new coaches should know right out of the gate. And again, a lot of it's repetitive. A lot of it can be found in their Coach Online Office, in our New Coach Basics program. But with these videos, people have different styles of learning. Visual learners, audible learners, tactical learners. So these videos just address another learning style for coaches. It also helps them get to know me and the team a little bit better. The new coach checklist. Let's go. Oh, it's right here. So the new coach checklist is actually something that you will send to your new coach. This is their checklist. And so again, it reviews to them the things that they should be able to check off their list. Review the welcome email. So again, if you haven't sent them one, they're going to be asking you, well, what about this welcome email? Set up a Getting Started Right call with their sponsor. Introduce themselves in the team page. So you've added them to the team page and you've welcomed them, but we also ask them to introduce themselves. Complete the About Me form. Review the I'm a New Coach Now What series. Create a list of 100 names. And this is something that I think a lot of times that we miss, but it is in every single piece of corporate training. So creating that list of names helps them start thinking about who they could possibly help, who they might want to join them on their team, so that they don't just have a blank piece of paper when they sit down to start inviting. Announce on social media that you are excited to start your journey. So this is the link to the 7 days of posts that we just looked at. We tell them to begin their personal development and recommend The Compound Effect as the first book that they read. Attend new coach chat calls each week. So on our team, we have Sunday night new coach chats. On your team, you may have something else. You may just have a team call, or maybe you have something once a month for new coaches. Whatever that is, you can direct them to do that. Direct them to do the New Coach Kickstart training, and remind them to work out and drink Shakeology every day. And then at the bottom of this document, we remind them of the 3 vital behaviors: to invite, be a product of the product, and learn. So this is something that they can print out. You would direct them, print this out, set it up by your computer, and check these things off as you go along. So that gets us down to the next item, getting your new coach started right. You're going to want to make sure they get enrolled in a new coach training program. So again, in our Coach Online Office, there's a Coach Basics training program. If your team doesn't have one, if you personally don't have anything developed, you don't have to create it. It's already there for you. So direct them to the New Coach Basics, New Coach Kickstart, whatever it is that your team calls this. Have them get started with that. On our team, we have a self-guided training so that they can actually go into the post in our team page, and they can go through each day of training. We call it modules on their own. And then once a month, we do a guided training. So again, it addresses different ways of learning. Sometimes people want to go through it on their own really fast. Maybe you have a fast starter who's like, they do all of it in one day and they're ready to go. And then you may have somebody else that really wants to kind of ease into it, and they want that guided approach. So that's why we also have the Coach Kickstart group where we actually guide them through that. You're going to want to assign them their first personal development book, and we typically recommend The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. That's the book that is used in the Coach Basics training. There's bajillions of others. I have lists myself that I've provided to my team of my favorite reading, but The Compound Effect, that's the book that I started with, and that's the book that I like to start all of my coaches with, because it teaches them that it's what we do little bit by little bit every day that really makes the difference. And this is not a get-rich-quick business. So you have to believe that even though you can't see a difference necessarily today, and even tomorrow, and even the next day, over time, this is making an effect. So all those invites you're doing, all those new people you're adding, it's just like with your challengers, drinking your Shakeology and doing your workouts every day. You're not going to see results overnight. That's what the compound effect really reinforces. Another thing I do for my new coaches is I add them to a new coach message chat. Now, I used to do this in a group. So here I had yet another group that coaches are, we've got our team group, we have our challenge group, we have our training group, we have this new coach group, all these groups, and they would get really confused, and I would get confused. I now start all of my new coaches in a new coach message chat. It's just a chat on Facebook Messenger. Maybe you want to do it in a Voxer or a GroupMe text. I like to do it in the new coach message chat because most everybody that I'm working with has Facebook. And I add new coaches in there, and I don't take them out until they remove themselves. So I have some coaches in there that are rocking it. I mean, they're almost diamond, but they are still in that chat. They're still learning, and they're still helping others. The beauty of the new coach message chat I have found is that it really helps create a duplication, and it helps me be more efficient as a leader, because if I'm signing up several new coaches all at one time, instead of me having to tell the same thing 10 times over, I can tell it one time in the group message. And, if somebody has a question, chances are somebody else has the same question. So I can answer that question just once, or even better, another coach will answer that question because it had been asked earlier when they were a new coach. So I really love the way the new coach message chat works. I think it's been a really big game changer for how my new coaches are really getting onboarded and really grasping the business. The final two items that I wanted to address are setting expectations and inspiring belief. I think it's very important that you set expectations with your new coaches. And what that means is this. Number one, you have to know what their goals are. If they say they're a discount coach that, would just kind of like to know how to send somebody a link to order a challenge pack if they need to, well, that's one set of expectations you can help them with. But typically, most coaches that are going to go through a new coach getting started right process have some expectations of their own, that they're going to be able to make some money and have some kind of success in this business. So what I do is, with this second checklist we have, I lay out the expectations. Here's what you should expect to accomplish at the end of your first month. Give them the checklist. Complete your new coach kickstart and the Emerald training. Achieve Emerald rank. Post compelling content 3 to 5 times a day. And I've given them a link to our 21 days of posts. So now that they've gotten past that first 7 days of posting, now I'm giving them 21 more days of posting to help them learn, again, duplicate, get a feel for what compelling content looks like. They're reading 10 pages or listening to 15 minutes daily of audio personal development. They're requesting and reconnecting with old friends, expanding their network, promoting and inviting to a free group. Well, we haven't on this call talked about what a free group is, but by this time, by the end of their first 30 days, they should have already themselves been involved in one of your free groups. Again, you do it, we do it, they do it. So they're going to be in one of your free groups, and then they should be ready to do it with you and then do it on their own. Same thing with your team enrollment events, your live biz ops, your sneak peeks. Again, you do it, so you teach them how to invite people to your events. Then we do it. Maybe you ask them to be a co-host in one of your events, and then they can do it. They should be able to have their own little sneak peek if they want to. They're going to be inviting 3 people minimum every day to challenge groups, Shakeology, to try Shakeology, to business opportunities, things like that. They're going to be hitting Success Club 5 or 10. And here's that little plug. That makes them eligible for the LEAD program. They're going to plan to be a success starter, right? And they're going to consistently follow the Power Hour daily activities. And then a reminder at the bottom to grow your business faster, help more people. So this checklist tells them what they need, again, their expectations. Sometimes I think we're afraid to set expectations with new coaches because we don't want to overwhelm them. If you lay this out right at the front, say this is what we're going to be accomplishing by the end of the first month, not everybody's going to achieve it, right? But it gives them something to shoot for. It makes it clear in their head, that achieving Emerald is not just a wishy-washy, oh, someday would be a nice thing. It's just something that you really do need to do pretty quickly because it positions you to start making another level of compensation in our compensation plan. It teaches them social media. I have, before we were doing things like this, I would have coaches that even by the end of their first month, they weren't doing their social media posting. They still didn't have a grasp for that. This lays out all those expectations very clearly. And let's go back to my previous slide. And then the last thing on the Getting Started Right list is inspiring belief. And that is probably the biggest thing that you do as a leader. Leaders inspire people to believe in something they cannot yet see. And so you first have to examine your own belief system. Do you believe in our products? Do you believe that they work? Are you drinking your Shakeology every day? Are you doing your workouts? Are you posting on social media? Are you sharing with people? Are you doing these things yourself? And do you believe that these things work? Have they worked for you? And then the second aspect of belief is, do you believe that you can do this? And that's really what you need to, you need to ask yourself that, right? But you also need to inspire that belief in your new coaches. Because really, this is a business that anyone can do. I think it was Mindy Winder that says it's a take no talent business, TNT. It takes no talent, meaning it doesn't take a particular degree or certification or pedigree or income level or background level or any demographic. It takes no talent. If you are teachable, anyone can learn how to do this and anyone can do it. And by sharing your story, by sharing other coaches' story, part of the Getting Started Right call includes finding stories that your new coach can relate to. And that's really important. There's in our Team Beachbody 411 webpage, as well as in our Coach Online office, there's videos called Success Stories. And they're success stories of other coaches. Be familiar with those so that whenever your new coach tells you their story, you can remember, oh, I think they would relate to this person, and you can share that with them. Do the same thing with coaches on your team. Get to know the coaches on your team. We try to share stories on our calls and highlight stories when we recognize people for rank advancing. It's important that we know the stories of the people around us because chances are, this is what I tell new prospects. I say, whatever your story is, chances are there's somebody that's a coach that's successful that has a very similar story. So that's inspiring belief. And that's really the most important thing you're going to be doing with your new coaches because, again, think about yourself when you were a new coach. And this is another thing that I ask everyone to think about. Think about that time, that moment when you decided to sign up. How did you feel? What was it that made you decide to do it? Maybe you'd been considering doing it for a long time. Maybe you'd never thought about doing it, and all of a sudden it just sounded like the right thing to do. What was it that fanned that flame in your belly? That's the belief. That's the belief that in yourself, you want to always, dig down and find that belief and let that flame expand into this bright, bright fire of inspiration. And do the same thing with your coach. That's why this whole process is so important because you need to know why they're doing this, because that's the belief, that's the flame that you as their mentor and leader are going to fan, and you're going to remind them about that when they feel like things aren't happening quickly enough. You're going to remind them how important this was to them at that moment when they decided to sign up as a coach. So this is the way I go through the Getting Started Right process, and I hope that it's helpful for you. And if you have any questions, definitely I'm here to answer them. Where'd you guys go? All right. I'm stopping the recording now.